Like, it take a real motherfucker to get sober.
Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's not necessarily what you do. Because I promise you, if you're doing it for the right reasons, you will be okay.
What do we know about trauma scientifically? It changes the chemistry in the brain.
We can relate to one another. That's why this camaraderie is so awesome, because we just get it and we don't judge.
You can't fight new battles with old tactics. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your character becomes your destiny.
What do you want to be remembered by when you're gone?
What's Grounded, fam? It's your boy, Johnny Gio. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Grounded Phoenix podcast. As always, the purpose of this channel is to express vulnerability and expand awareness to addiction, trauma, and mental health. I have Chrissy joining me all the way from Sacktown. What's Grounded, Chrissy?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I know when we connected a while back, I was excited, and I was so excited I actually thought that our day to meet up was sooner, but it was I still had to wait a whole month to get on with you. But so I'm definitely excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. And like I was talking to you earlier, we never really got the opportunity to chop it up and converse about and really get to know one another. So I'm actually going to be getting to know you for the first time as we do this podcast, and we didn't really script anything. So this is going to be pretty interesting, to say the least. But I do want to let the viewers know that I did snoop around your Instagram, as we were talking about earlier, trying to find some dirt on you. And man, like we were talking earlier, you're a really good writer. And I was reading your posts on Instagram. You get so vulnerable, and the way you write, I really feel like I'm on this journey of addiction with you and recovery, and you just write so beautifully. Were you always such a good writer like that?
No. I sucked in high school. I probably failed every essay that I ever had. I think just when I went to rehab at 23, and we started journaling, and my journal pages were always way longer than everybody else's. And I just realized then that I could write and write a lot, but I, could break it down, which I do for Instagram, but I could write, and it's something I'm passionate about. Like I told you earlier, and I think that's why I write as well as I do, and I make sure not to leave anything out. So when you said you were trying to find something on me, you'll find everything on me. I throw it all out there. There isn't anything that has been a part of my journey of addiction that I don't write about, because I feel like if I leave that out, I'm lying. I don't want to lie. I don't want to say that, I only had this stuff happen. I have to say it all, because we've all, not everybody, but our stories are all different. And if I don't tell the whole story, then I feel like I'm just leaving big pieces out.
Right. No, well said. And like I was saying, when I was reading them, I really felt like I was in this journey with you. To start off with, I know you got a story that you were talking about relatively, maybe extended, and you feel like maybe we might have to do 2 episodes, which that definitely is a possibility. But we're just gonna just jump around, maybe to present, to past, and just kind of go over everything. This way, it's more organic and not just so robotic seeming, right? So like I was reading on Instagram, and you had something really cool to say about courage. What does courage mean to you? What is being courageous?
So courage to me means doing something that's scared. Well, being scared and doing something anyway. To me, courage, I know. So I have got a message before because of what I feel courage is. And I've got, the messages on Instagram from somebody who said, I don't think it's cool for you to say that what you did was courageous, because, there's people out there who fight wars, and that's courageous. And I said, I agree. I believe that is courageous too. But, people in addiction, and if you've never been in it, I don't think you quite understand how we have to literally dig deep with all we have to pull ourselves out of what we're feeling. And so, yeah, I do feel like I am courageous for sharing my experience, strength, and hope, because it wasn't an easy road. And I don't think it's an easy road for any of us.
Yeah, no, definitely. And everybody's going to have, their own opinion, whether they're in recovery or not, but I definitely do think it's courageous. I actually find it very courageous that you're even on here, and sharing and expressing vulnerability with me, just like everybody else that has been here. I do find that courageous. And for me to even get on here and speak on camera and show my face, that is something for me that I could not even think about doing in the past. Like, this is like healing for me, but in the sense also I'm getting out of my comfort zone, and I'm just really putting myself out there, whether I stumble my words or I have a brain fart and I'm just like, wait a minute, what the hell did I just say right now? Because it happens pretty often, but I know that after I do this, I feel so much better. And you're right, we do have to dig deep into things that we're feeling. And I know for me, and I talk about it always on this podcast, it has to do with trauma. um, Looking back in your life, can you kind of pinpoint how your addiction kind of started? Was it from an early age? Were you a teenager? Were you in your early 20s? What kind of set the tone for you to start using and boozing?
So I started a little later, probably later than most people would start, but I didn't have my first drink until I think a month before I turned 18. And the first two times I ever drank, I got like totally shit-faced. But for me, I just, I had an alcoholic father and I didn't want to follow the same path as him. So my goal was to never drink. But then I did. And of course, not knowing, that you should only do a little when you start because you're going to get sick. I got pretty sick. And after those first two times, I was like, all right, I really just need to, I don't want that to happen again. And it didn't, like, I could hold a beer the whole entire party and it would be warm by the end. Like I just didn't have a desire for it. But 2 months before my high school graduation, my dad died. And I realized that when I drank, I didn't feel any pain. And so that's when it just started to spiral, and it happened really quickly. But by the age of 19, I knew that I had a problem, and I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't discuss it with anybody, but I knew then that I had an issue with drinking.
Wow. Okay. So you would consider like the teens kind of like late, starting a little late?
Well, everybody I know, all my friends were starting in 8th grade. Like, they were getting drunk and going to parties in 7th and 8th grade. And I wanted to stay home. I didn't want to do all that. Then came high school and everybody was really going to parties and stuff. And I still just didn't have it. I don't know. I was very shy, didn't want to do it, but alcohol, kind of gave me that, sorry, my dog's going berserk.
It's all good.
The alcohol kind of gave me confidence that I didn't have. And so, parties became huge once I turned 19. Everything that I didn't do just started coming out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I actually started drinking at the age of 12, but it's crazy how hereditary, like your father is an alcoholic, but then you made like a decision like, okay, no, this is bad for me. I'm not going to do this. But up until something traumatic happened, then that's when you're like, okay, I'm going to give it another shot. And it's crazy to me to think that, because even though like we know this stuff is not good for us, we do it anyways, whether it be because of a loss, because, to fit in or to not feel anything. We do it to ourselves anyway. And I feel like sometimes people don't understand the damage we do to ourselves and how hard it is to get out of that, especially once it starts escalating. So after the parties and all that, where did drinking lead you to?
When I was 19, I was in a terrible car accident. I was at a party with some friends, and there was an acquaintance there who had his brother's fake ID, and he asked if I would take him, and I said sure. So we drove down, like it was literally only 2 blocks away, and we drove there. And then he asked if he could drive my car back, and I was like, okay, like I was drinking, but I wasn't drunk yet. So I didn't really catch on to the fact that he was really drunk too, or drunk. Anyways, so I remember when he wanted to go like a long way. And I remember when he was driving, I was like, hey, can you put on your seatbelt? Because you're like kind of freaking me out, because he didn't have one on. I'm like, can you put on your seatbelt? Because like, you're not, driving so good. Are you sure you know what to do here? Brand new car, by the way. And he was like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, I know. That should have been the sign. Like, I don't know. Things happen for a reason though, right? So, we were only just a little bit away from where we were going. And I remember I just turned around to get the alcohol out of the back of the seat because we were that close. And I was like, fucking, I'm just going to pop it open here. We're almost there. And so I did. I turned around to grab it. And thankfully, I turned back around, put my seatbelt on, I put my feet on the dash, popped open my beer, and boom. I guess he had been kind of swerving in and out of traffic, and he oversteered the car too much. And he hit a brick wall, and all the impact came in on my side. So if I had had my feet down, like, regular, the engine came all the way into the edge of the seat about this much. So I would have no legs. So I was kind of lucky to have my feet on the dash, and have the airbag just deploy my legs into my knee, or like my knees into my eyes, and then my legs just snapped. So my left leg was broken in 3 pieces, the tibia and the fibia, and then my right ankle came completely detached from the leg. So it was completely turned around, like not good at all. The ambulance didn't even know I was in the car. They had pulled him out, and the car was just so mangled. They didn't even know it was just me, like that I was still in there, until somebody was screaming saying there's a girl in there. And I was holding her hand. You guys have to get her out. And, I was in the ICU, and I had to learn how to walk again. And the only motivation for me to walk again, because they told me it would take a year for me to be able to walk again, the only motivation was for me to go drink with my friends again. And because of that, I was able to walk in 3 months. But I mean, like, the motivation is just like, that's crazy, right? I mean, that's like, that was addiction. That was addiction right there. And I didn't even know it.
Right. That's an intense story. And I saw the pictures on Instagram on that crash. That was a really bad accident. I'm happy you made it out alive out of that one. But so you got into this car accident, and it's crazy how you say that the only motivation was to go out and party again with your friends. But I remember being at that age, it didn't matter what happened, whether it was because of drinking or not. Like, drinking and just being social with people. I think I had a codependency issue maybe as well. Just being out there with people and drinking was like a necessity. It's like I needed it. It was a part of my life. And I remember anytime I would just be itching to go out. I would just be itching because I was like, fuck, I can't be at home alone. Like, I don't like this. Did you ever have like a feeling of that? Or did you feel like you had like some sort of codependency issue there when it came to hanging out with people? And I know you talk about character defects as well. That's another subject that I'd like to talk about.
So for me, I think, as soon as like the accident kind of happened, I itched, you know what I mean? I just wanted to walk again. I did not want to have to be home at night. I wanted to go party. When I met my, I just stutter. I'm so sorry. I met my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, right shortly after the accident. And, thankfully he was like the one who came and would pick me up because I couldn't walk right for a while. So they'd have to, him and my other friend would have to, hold me and carry me to where I needed to go and like sit me down on things. It was hysterical. But yeah, I itched then. And then once I was able to walk, and then a couple of years down the road, and him and I moved in together, and I tried staying home at night, right, with your boyfriend like you're supposed to do. But I itched to go out to the party scene. I mean, I can't even tell you, he's not like that. Like that's not his thing. He doesn't like to go out and drink. And I'd leave him at home because I couldn't help it. I wanted to go out and party with all my friends. And I used the excuse that I was young and I just wanted to have fun.
Yeah. Because I mean, I hear the term character defects all the time, and um, I'm curious to know what it means to you, and is there like a specific definition for it? Because sometimes um, I kind of get, I kind of don't really understand it too well.
So for me, and what I've learned about character defects is anything that we learn along this process of sobriety that needs some work within ourselves, like for instance, a character defect of mine was fighting people all the time, especially when I got drunk. And then I started to get really angry as my addiction went on. And so I wouldn't fight you obviously sober, but I would be damned if like we didn't get into a confrontation, because I was going to let you know what you didn't do right, or just in general, I was going to let you know what you did that pissed me off. I consider that a huge character defect, because most people know how to keep their cool, right? Most people know how to not say things when it's totally not needed or useful. I didn't have that. Like I had missed that, I had a 0 and I had a 60 and I didn't have it in between. So that's a huge character defect of mine. But I've worked really hard on that, so that's what I kind of consider character defects.
Right on. Yes, that's kind of what I would understand, but I wanted to hear your opinion and your experience on that as well. I know for me, I was similar to you. I would fight people, and I would also get extremely sad. Like I'll be like this sad drunk listening to sad music and crying and putting that shit all loud. And I was either sad or really fucking pissed off for some reason.
Yes,
and
there was no in between.
yeah, like and then like there will probably be like a couple hours of fun, but then like by the time 2 hours hit, like it was either one or the other. And I just remember just letting a lot of stuff out that I didn't have the fucking balls to say while I was sober or do while I was sober, and they wouldn't even come out right. It would just be like this, all these words that were hurtful or either very exaggerated, and it just, I hurt a lot of people in the process. So what is one way that you were able to kind of identify those character defects, and then also put in the work to either fix them or to maybe um, help yourself to not have that anymore?
Sure. So for me, identifying them was not easy, because I came into the program that I'm in, and I knew nothing. I had never been in it before. I had never done any of it. So for me, I didn't know what I was doing. And you keep hearing, character defects, and I'm like, well, I don't have any defects. I'm just perfect. What the heck are you guys talking about? You may have problems, but I don't. So it was hard for me in the beginning, but then you start to watch the people around you, and you see them happy, and you see them acting differently than you act. And then you start to realize, crap, I don't act that way. Like these people are so nice, and like, got their shit together. And then I just started to realize, like, I want to be a better person. And I think, and actually I know, in order for me to be a better person, I need to do what these people are doing. I absolutely need to, because the first time around, I'm going to jump a second. I had 8.5 years sober my first time around. I got sober at 23, which I'm sure we're going to get to. I didn't do it completely right. So the second time around, I knew I had to do exactly what these people were doing, and my life depended on it. So I had to really take a look at all my flaws, which are like character defects, and everything I was doing wrong, and everything that I wanted to do differently, and what I wanted to do right from now on. Taking a look at them wasn't easy by any means. Nobody wants to admit when they're wrong, or, that they haven't been living life the best. It kind of tears you down a little bit. But I think working with my sponsor, and having a lot of people in my program be honest with me is just huge. It really is. I know sometimes there's things that we're not supposed to talk about our program, but it's hard for me not to, when it has changed my entire being. And sometimes I got to be honest, I wonder why it's called anonymous. I I just wonder, because it's just an amazing thing.
Right on. Yeah, definitely.
So if you need
right
to cut
on.
that out, you can cut that out. But I don't know how
Nah.
else to explain my program, you know?
Right. No, we're gonna keep it raw and 100 over here. I mean, if you want to take it off, we'll take it off. But if not, we'll leave it in there. You know, some things just need to be said, to be honest. And I just recently joined the 12-step program through the NA step work with a sponsor. I've been sober 6 years, and well,
What?
it's gonna be 6 years. But I just recently got into the step work. I was really turned off by it at first. I thought somebody wanted something out of me, my money, or they wanted me to join some sort of fucking religion. And I was like, chalice, like, I'm not going to do that, you know? And I got so turned off by it. But after doing some work on myself throughout these years, I became more open-minded. And I'm on step 4, by the way. So I'm not at the character defects yet. And I'm really, but the first time I put pen to paper in the format that my sponsor did, I started bawling. And I had journaled before already, but for some reason, there was some stuff that got brought up. And like you said, until someone starts calling you out on your shit, and it's not just you, that's like a completely different story. So enough about me. When
I like hearing about you, though.
you know what, I'm actually gonna do kind of like reverse interviews on Instagram, probably live through this other program that I'm gonna do. That's keep that on the low though, actually.
Okay.
Well, I'm recording it, so fuck it. Anyways, yeah. So you said you were sober. You were clean and sober for like 8 years at 23.
So no. I got sober at 23. So remember when I said my addiction didn't last very long, 18
right.
to 23. I got sober at 23. I had 8.5 years and I relapsed.
Wow.
And so that's why I was saying this time around, I didn't do it. I was kind of like you. A little bit like you. I didn't do the program the first time around. I went to rehab. I went to a few meetings. And I was like, oh, no. See, I'm a little bit of an alcoholic, but I am not like these people. And I am not doing this shit. I'm not going to raise my hand. Like, I'm not going to do it. And I didn't. And how I stayed sober, honestly, is probably because of my kids. Actually, I know it was. I had become a mom when I was a year and a half sober. And that was everything I ever wanted. And I knew that if I picked up a drink, I was going to lose my entire dreams. Right. But slowly my marriage started falling apart and, other things. And I just didn't care anymore. And I didn't have a program to rely on. So yeah, that's what I meant. Like in this time around, and I knew when I came back this time, it was meetings, 90 and 90. Then I ended up doing 90 for like 2 years straight. Not 90, but I ended up doing a meeting every day for 2 years because I knew I wanted this. And I didn't want even a piece of my addiction to be able to slip back in this time. Like I needed to be invested in this program. I may have went a little overboard, but like I said, I just knew I was going to die or I was going to kill somebody else.
Holy shit. So during this time when you were kind of, I guess, on your own will, running on your own will, being sober, what kind of led you to slip? Was there like a traumatic experience or something that just says, you know what, I'm just going to give drinking again? I know you talked about your marriage falling apart and other things, but was it just like an array of things that just happened that you were like, oh, I think this is a good idea now?
Let's see. For me, it was, I started having some issues with me and my husband. I started having some issues in our marriage. And so in order for me to step away from that, and ideally, I had untreated alcoholism. Okay. That's what I had for a very long time because I wasn't doing anything about it. It was a matter of time. I'm lucky it was as long as it was, but having this big traumatic thing with my husband, it was like, okay, I'm going to do the only thing I know how to do. And that's, I'm going to go out and hang out with my friends. Well, where did I go? Back to those same friends who were doing the same thing. who had been doing the same thing why I built this beautiful life, right, this whole time. And we started going to bars, and I was a designated driver. And I had no desire to drink. But, and it's my favorite saying, if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And that is exactly what I did. I hung around a bar too long and I had a drink. It didn't go exactly like that. You know, it wasn't at a bar, but yeah, I started hanging out. One night I met a guy, and it ended up turning into more than I thought. And 3 years after that, I was still having an affair with him. And I got pregnant with my son, and I didn't know who the father was. And so when I was 9 months pregnant, as things started to get kind of close to the end, we're like, who the hell am I going to let into this room? Right? I've been living a double life this whole time. Like, I know it probably sounds crazy. No, my husband didn't know. And yes, the guy knew that I was married, but he thought, like, just for financial reasons, I kind of needed to stay where I was, which at the time kind of was it. But at the same time, I didn't want to lose my life all the way. Right. It was a horrible thing for me to do. And it was eating away at me, and it was coming down to the wire here. Both these guys think this baby is theirs, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And we had just had a baby shower like a couple nights before, and somebody had left a bottle of wine at the house. And I remember at the baby shower, I remember just thinking, I'm so sick and tired of everybody being able to have a beer or a glass of wine. Nobody got drunk at the baby shower, right? It was an evening baby shower. Nobody got drunk. Everybody was just sipping on alcohol. And how come I can't do that? And so I convinced myself that I was just young. I was 23 when I got sober. And I think I was 32 at that time. And I was like, I was just like, yeah, I can do this. I was just young, and I don't have a problem with alcohol. I opened that bottle of wine, and that night I did. I had about half a glass, and I convinced myself that it was okay while you're pregnant, as long as it's only half a glass. And then within a week, I was worse than I was before I went to rehab. I mean, my addiction, like, it didn't take a break. Like, it was terrible. I was throwing up in my sleep in my bed while pregnant, like, and I've never done that before. Never thrown up, in my sleep, but it was bad. I mean, it progressed so quickly and in 1 week. And I had heard about that before, but I just didn't know that it was going to happen that fast. Wow. So, yeah, that's kind of what led me back to drinking was just me carrying on to a secret that I just couldn't hold on to anymore. It was killing me inside, and I just didn't know what to do. So that's what kind of sent me into relapse mode.
Wow. Just wow. I want to thank you for sharing that and just being extremely vulnerable and honest, because to share that it's big, and it shows a lot of maturity and a lot of growth. I know you talked about it earlier. You're like, I don't want to lie. You're like, we were talking on the phone. You're like, oh man, I kind of didn't want to do this, and I'm glad we're doing it. But honesty is spiritual principle that really, if I'm not practicing that, like, I don't fucking feel right. And just to be honest and we're recording now for you to do this, like, I'm extremely honored to have you on here. I'm just thankful for your vulnerability and being able to share that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it takes a lot of heart and a lot of balls to say that and move forward from that. So honesty, being honest with yourself, moving forward after you relapsed, how did you continue with this situation? I mean, I know things spiral downhill after that, because like they say, when you relapse, you don't start off little by little. You basically pick up where you left off. So how did that situation progress for you?
So I want to say I didn't pick up where I left off. I freaking was worse than when I left off. You know what I mean? I mean, I was worse. And I knew that I was going to lose my son if I had been in that type of whatever, I can't even think of the word, but like if I had been in that state while going into labor, they would take my baby away, no questions asked. And so I knew that I needed to stay sober, at least until I was not pregnant. Like, just the whole concept was silly. But addiction, I swear, and I say this all the time, it's something that I will never understand, and now I understand it on a different level. To drink while pregnant is not something that I would do. Being a mom is everything to me. So I would never want to hurt my son, and put him in danger like that. So I knew that I had to stop drinking, and I did. And then after my son was born, I started hanging around the other guy again, because I didn't know whose it was, right? And so I felt guilty to not let him see my son Abel if it was his. And yeah, anyway, so I started hanging out with him again, and he actually had an addiction to pills. And with that said, given my car accident that had happened, years ago, I did start having some serious pain in my legs, which I knew I was going to have, but I thought, like, when I was older, like 50, not 30 something.
Right.
And so, yeah, he introduced me to that. And, it just turned bad. Bad. I don't even know. I get so tongue tied when it comes to this situation. But I can't blame anybody. Like, my family likes to blame this guy, and he's not to blame. I don't care if he gave me the first one or not. Like, I didn't have to say yes, guys. Do you understand that? Like, but I did. And I continued to say yes. And I continued to go get, I don't know, 300 of them from somebody and bring them to him. I put myself in that situation, right? It was on me. But I just have never experienced such a low in my life. I mean, alcohol, I experienced a lot, but with pills, it was a game changer. It was like 10 times what my drinking was, what things I had been through in my drinking. So it was bad. It was very bad. I think I forgot the question now because I started rambling on about that.
No worries. No, I think you answered it. How did you get yourself out of this situation? I mean, I know in the program we'd like to say, it was with the help of a power greater than ourselves. Was that your situation? Was that in your case, like what you experienced, how you were able to get out of that situation?
For me, I'm still trying to see it that way. But for me, my story coming back was a little bit different. For me, so I told you that our house was robbed, and I know who did it, and I know it was that guy, but he was the only one who knew we were gone, and he had started using meth, and so it was like that was something that scared me, and I didn't want to do that because I knew if I had like pills this much, I may like that even more. So I tried to get sober on my own, and it didn't work. And so I started buying them from a guy that I knew, and then I started dealing them for him because he would throw me some if I did it. And I said, okay, sure, why not? Right? I mean, in that mindset, you don't really think clearly. You only care about that. And so it came down to we had got a settlement from, the robbery on the stuff that was lost. And I had got a check for $8,000. And I had blown through that in 1 month. Wow. On pills. And that money was supposed to buy my kids a bed. That was supposed to take us on vacation. That was supposed to do a lot of shit. And instead I blew through money. That was for my family. I knew that I had another check coming in, and I didn't want to blow through that one too. my family deserved better than that. So there was a combination of things. There was one, I didn't want to blow through more money. Two, I did not want to be, it was only, I mean, I just felt like at some point I was going to get in trouble, right? I mean, you can only break the law for so long and then you get caught. And I had heard that a long time ago. And so I was like, I don't want to get in trouble, right? So it was, one, don't want to get in trouble. Two, I blew through a lot of money. And three, I was so tired of having to just take those things because I just needed to function. It wasn't even about getting high anymore. I was taking 15 of them a day and it wasn't even doing anything for me. I was already on to oxys, right? I had got all the way on up to oxys and I was taking 15 a day, and that it just wasn't doing anything, but I needed it to be able just to function like normal. I didn't want to do that anymore. I just wanted to function normal, but I couldn't, because if I didn't have them, I was sick and I was withdrawing, and it was just a cycle. So I remember a week before I went to not rehab, but the facility to get help. I had called the place and tried to speak with somebody, and I left a message and nobody called me back. And I even made a video on this. Like, I don't care if you guys try to get help with anywhere. If somebody doesn't call you back, you absolutely need to try again, right? Just try again. And so I did. I actually physically went in and had, a conversation with a doctor, and they tried to push me off till Monday. And I said, I'm not waiting till Monday. I called you guys. You didn't call me back. I've been waiting for a week, or, almost two. I'm here today in person, and I'm telling you that I need help. So there is no tomorrow or Monday. I need help right now. And luckily there was a doctor who was like, come in tomorrow and we will go ahead and get you started on, there's a couple programs, things that they do on the weekends. And I was like, thank you. And so I did that. And then I started going to meetings. So you do their counseling type stuff. And it's kind of like recovery, but it's a 30-day thing they do. So I did that. And then I went to meetings, and I've told you before, I went to a few and I hated them. I didn't care if I hated them this time. I knew I had to do this. I had to do this shit right. And I didn't do it right the first time. So it had to be done right this time.
Wow. That's intense. I mean, well, after hearing all that, I want to give a shout out to your husband.
Right?
Yeah, because, and I know you mentioned him on your Instagram, and you gave him a lot of props. I could see you got a lot of love for him. That man, I mean, I don't want to make it about him, but I'm sure he was very supportive. Or not? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
I mean, I had put him through so much over the years of being together. Even when breaking up, you know what I mean? Like, I had put him through a lot, and the baby thing that broke him. How could it not?
Yeah.
Right? That really broke him. So I shouldn't say he wasn't supportive. I mean, he was, but he was, and I don't even blame him for this. And I tell people this all the time. He was a little hesitant to believe that I was serious and gonna do it this time, right? Because I had said that numerous times during my relapse, and also, the fact that I had 8.5 years, although I think he should give me some credit for that, because I feel like that was a long period of time staying sober.
Yeah.
But I think the hurt starts to build up in people that are around us during our addiction. We hurt them. And so I do not blame him for not being extremely supportive in the beginning, because us as addicts, we lie, we cheat, and we steal. And I did that to him. And I never quite understood that. And I didn't understand it in the beginning. And I did get mad at him, but now I look back and I see it differently. And I see how could I have expected him to support me when I had done everything to lose his trust? And I had done everything to somebody that loved me that I should have never done. And I broke him. And he had every right to not believe me in the beginning. Is he supportive today? Absolutely. Was he supportive after he started seeing that I was doing this all differently? Absolutely. But in the beginning, he was kind of like, I don't know, this may just be another one of her little things where she swears she's getting sober, but she's not doing it, So it took a while. It took a while for him to see my actions and see me being serious before he actually took me seriously.
Right on. Okay, so shout out to your husband. We're gonna move forward from here. Um, so you did the 12-step program. What was the
Yes.
toughest step for you to get through? And then also, which one did you enjoy the most doing? Because I feel like sometimes people look at these steps and it's just like, it's just so dogmatic. And why do I need to do all this? Or what I got to go within? And what is all this stuff? And I really want to enlighten people because I was that guy. I was that dude. I was like, fuck all that shit. I'm gonna do my own thing. It's working for me. Not have an open mind. And I really firmly believe that if you apply these steps to your life, whether you are an addict or not, you can see some improvements in your life just by practicing these spiritual principles or acting just as a better person.
Yeah, for me, and I know I've been asked that before, and honestly, I would love to say that it was, like step 5, right? Or, 6, doing our inventory. But it wasn't. For me, it was number 1. And I think you asked me actually, that's what you asked me about my higher power. You were asking me about my higher power and if that was what brought me in. No, pretty much I think I said that, but no, that's not what I felt. I mean, I didn't have a relationship with my higher power when I came back. I had pushed my higher power away when I started having an affair. I had an angel on my shoulder telling me this isn't what you should be doing and you know better. And I was having fun, so I didn't want to hear it. So I pushed my higher power completely out of my life, because if I didn't have to hear any of that telling me that I was wrong, then I got to live life clear. And when I did that is when obviously, stuff got worse. But number 1 was hard because I really truly thought that there was no way that my higher power was going to forgive me for what I had done. I had done some pretty fucked up shit. And I just didn't think that I was forgivable for that. So that was hard. And that took some work. And a lot of learning that that's not how my higher power works. Nothing I do is going to make him love me any less, but I loved myself less. And I kept carrying all that baggage of what I had done in the past with me, and I couldn't forgive myself. So 1 was definitely the toughest. And just because I had to completely learn to surrender and believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. But if you don't even have a relationship with your higher power, how the heck could how could he restore you to sanity? So 1 was hard for me. 1 was definitely hard.
How did you establish a relationship with the higher power, assuming that you have one now?
I do. And me and my higher power are best friends. So, I think actually, I know for me, I think I don't know how long sober I had, but just a little bit of time, maybe 6 to 9 months. And I realized that I couldn't do it my way anymore. I could if I wanted to, but my way wasn't working. I was still, even though I was sober and in the rooms, I was still getting into conflicts, things just, I wasn't drinking, but certain things and characteristics, character defects were still happening. Right. And so I just remember being outside on my patio and I was like, okay, that's it. I surrender. You go ahead and lead the way because my way's not working. I don't know how to do this anymore. It has to be done differently this time. So I need your help. And that was it. I completely, for the first time in recovery ever, surrendered myself and let my higher power, use me and guide me in the right direction, because I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I made it, through those 8.5 years I did have a higher power, but, without certain things. So I'm rambling again.
No worries. I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down for sure. Now I'm gonna go back to like one of your posts, because when I say I did some digging, I did some digging.
Okay.
And I really like what you put out there. You put that you can't really help or fight the fight for people in addiction, and you really gotta just show them a way of a better life instead of just kind of telling them how to do things. Um, and I know you did mention that that was one thing that helped you, because you looked at other people and you were like, I want that. Like, I want what they have. Like, the way I'm acting is probably not right. Um, so what's one way now that you do that you show that you give back to the community in a sense?
So, you know, I had lost myself. That helped contributed to me relapsing. I lost myself with that guy. He had a serious pill addiction, and I gave my all trying to help him. But in the midst of that, I forgot about me. I forgot to take care of me. And so, that particular writing, probably deep down had something to do with him as well, because and obviously for others, right? But it brought back something to me to remember that I just will never do that again. And we can't do that anyway. And it's all over in the big book, right? We can't do that with people. We have to make sure that our own house is in order, before we can do anything. And so in order for me, the biggest and most amazing thing I can do is just show everybody that this is possible. Show everybody that, a 12-step program works. And sometimes it doesn't work for people, and that's okay. But I do want people to see that it works for me. I want people to see that this sobriety thing is possible. Even if you have relapsed, it's possible. Just being an example, to me, is the best thing that we can do. Because, like you said, I wanted to be like those people when I came back in these rooms, right? And so that is what I want to do. I want people to look at me and say, oh my gosh, I want to be like her. What do I do, to get to where she's at? I think that's better than anything.
Powerful. I think that's powerful. And I think you're absolutely doing that by getting on here with me. And even on Instagram, I know I keep bringing that up, but I believe it or not, I barely got on Instagram like a year ago. I used to think it was like a waste of time, and like it only gets me into trouble, because I wasn't utilizing it for good. I was doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. But now I see the power in social media, and I know I keep bringing this up, but like I really like what you're doing and the message you're putting out there. And also I was looking through your Instagram, and then I got caught up in like a freaking makeup tutorial video you were doing. You are like you are
Yeah.
a beast. I was like, damn, how does she blend all that? And like, you're really good at that. You're really good at that. Did you do
Thanks.
that like in your active addiction, or is that just something new that you picked up?
No. I think all of us girls know how to do basic makeup, right? And that
Right.
was me, basic makeup. But I actually just started following a woman who did her makeup just how you said. It looked like so easy, right? And so I followed her, and I got the makeup from her, and I started using it on myself and doing it. And then everybody started saying the same thing that you said, that you make it look so easy. And I'm like, oh, really? So then I started my own business. It's a makeup company, and I decided to become a part of it. So I started, my own little makeup company with that. And it's been fun. It really has. It's been able to let me stay home with the kids a little bit. So it's just been fun. But thank you.
Yeah, I had to acknowledge that and give you a shout out, because I was like, I literally watched the whole thing. I was like, wait, what am I? I'm like sidetracked. I'm like, why am I watching this?
Well, it's
But
kind of cool how it all flows together, though, right?
yeah, totally. So like I think that's like one of the biggest blessings sobriety has gifted me, is like a sense of purpose. Like this podcast, I feel like I'm doing something, and I'm not yeah, I mean, of course, going to work if you have a 9 to 5, that's all good. But just something about being an entrepreneur, or having your own business, or just something that provides you a fulfillment. Um, I know it's a really good feeling, and I know you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then that's why I want to inspire on people when they watch this, to give them hope. Like, hey, if this person was like popping pills or like blacking out, drinking, all of this shit, went through this crazy ass accident, and now they have their own business and they can spend time at home with their kids, like you can do that too. Like you can definitely do that too. So I just wanted to mention that before I let you go, because I do have to let you go now. Um, and I think we are going to have to do another episode. I got to ask you one last question.
Sure.
And that is that I actually believe there's 3 things in life that are guaranteed and they're marked on our gravestone. And that is our birthday, the day we pass, and that dash in the middle that I feel like a lot of us overlook because it's not a number, it's just a dash. To me, it symbolizes the life we carried. What is it that you want to be remembered by when you're gone?
Oh, geez. Um,
No pressure.
yeah, right. I think I just, I don't even know if I want anybody to remember me per se for anything. I feel like I just want to make such a change that other women change, that other men and women find the just the ability to be themselves finally, and to love themselves, and to especially get sober, because that's, I mean, self-love is something we lack, huge time when we're in our addiction. So, and this is a whole nother reason why I do not keep quiet about my addiction. And I didn't keep quiet about it the first time around either, like I was told, and I don't do it now. But I feel like when I do, then there's somebody out there who's missing what I need to say. There's somebody out there who could hear just one thing and go and get sober tomorrow. I can't save the whole world, but if I can save one person to not go down the same road that I did, then this was all worth it.